Thanks for coming out today, fellas. We're fired up to get started tomorrow. It's been here for quite a few months, but haven't had a full practice, so it's going to be good to get out there on the field. And I think really our goal out of this spring is to really get everybody on the roster better. We got 90 guys on the roster right now, and we got to do a great job as a staff evaluating these guys, see what guys can do, so that as we get into the fall, we can try to play to our strengths and get ready to go. So open it up for questions.
I guess we'll just kind of start. How did Junior Day go this weekend?
Good. Had about 20 prospects on campus. One young man who was a class of 25 was committed to us as a walk-on who hadn't been on campus yet, and then a bunch of high school guys, a lot of good players from in-state. So I thought it was a positive, and it was great for the guys. Not every player got in town in time to go to the basketball game, but I always love trying to bring guys to basketball games when they can. So a lot of the guys did get to see that game on Friday night, which was a great atmosphere. So best of luck to Coach Patino out there in the squad in Vegas, rooting for those guys this week.
And how healthy are you guys heading into spring?
Pretty good shape. We had some off-season surgeries. Keyshawn James Newby will not be fully cleared for spring. Jackson Eck will not be cleared for spring, but we knew that. We've known that since the regular season ended. I got a few guys that we're hoping to get back. Keegan Johnson has been nicked up and has not been, fully cleared, but we're optimistic we could get him back. Darren Agu has been a little limited. He was in a boot for a while. He's out of the boot now. We'll see what we can get out of him. DJ McKinney's coming off of a sprained ankle. I know we'll get something out of him this spring, but I'm not sure how much. I'm trying to think of any other ones. So we're in pretty good shape. We knew we had a few of those surgeries, and then the nice thing about having a break in spring camp for spring break, gives guys coming off of an injury an extra week to get back and get back in the lineup.
Coach, this is it's not quite an expansion team, but it probably felt like that in some ways, because not only are you bringing in new players, you're bringing in a coaching staff too. How much of a challenge has the last few months been for you just to get to this point?
Yeah, it's just I think you really got to do a good job as a coaching staff of getting on the same page, and you can't take 1 or 2 years to get everybody up to speed. You got to get everybody up to speed and make sure everyone understands how we do things. And I think the good thing is having 4 of the assistant coaches and the strength coach coming with me from Idaho. They really know how I like to do things. But I think we've done a pretty good job of getting everybody on the same page. We've had quite a few walkthroughs. We haven't been able to have full practices with pads. But we've had a couple. About 6 full team walkthroughs where we're installing our schemes and getting on that. And then, I'm sure there'll be some notes after practice tomorrow, the first day of things we got to clean up, but that's part of the process.
And you've also hired a general manager, which is unique to this school. What exactly is his role, and how closely do you work with him on a daily basis?
I work very close with him. I mean, he's going to be one of my right-hand guys. Really, I think probably the 5 guys I kind of see as my direct reports, the way we have it set up, are our offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, associate head coach, and then the strength coach and the GM. Those are kind of my inner circle of guys. And Bo's going to oversee all parts of recruiting, whether it's high school or transfer, whether it's the creative side of it, with graphics and videos, whether it's the evaluation piece, and then, he's going to be the layer to communicate with players' families. Some of them have agents now. When you come to the NIL piece with that sort of thing, and I really think that's going to be probably one of the biggest advantages, is just having a layer between me and doing that. And I was the one dealing with that before we got Bo hired, but I think this is a better setup. Similar to how the NFL teams, do that. Andy Reid's not negotiating with guys. So I think Bo's done a tremendous job, and I think he'll continue to do great things for us.
Speaking of that, 29 new players that were on Division I teams last year, that kind of epitomizes the importance of the transfer portal. It seemed like years ago, if you only had a couple of D1 transfers, that was a lot. Now 29 guys that were originally signed with other D1 programs. Could you talk about that, please?
Yeah, I really think it's the reality we're in right now. I think when you have a head coaching change, you have a bunch of guys going to the portal no matter where you're at. and you have to retool. We really. I think the numbers I looked at last time, I think out of like 51 new players, whether they're guys we signed that will come in the fall or guys who are already here, I think 34 were transfers and like 17 were high school kids. I probably would want to inverse that ratio next year and be heavier in high school, but just to have enough bodies to practice and get the stuff you need to do. I think you almost have to do it during these transition periods. And the good thing was. Obviously, college tape, I think, is an easier projection than high school tape. Guys are more closer to their peak. And then, we were able to sign, you look at the 7 guys we brought from Idaho. We brought a few guys from Weber State who we played. We got 2 guys from Montana State who we played. I think that was a nice thing as well of, guys we had familiarity with. DJ McKinney, John Johnson coached him at Sam Houston State. Brian Booker, our defensive tackle who came in from Texas Southern, Coach Loney had coached him in the 23 season. So, we had a lot of guys that we were familiar with that way, which I think certainly adds to your success rate. More about those young men.
Coach, I know you said you haven't really done too much, just a few walkthroughs, and you got spring coming up. But is there someone or a few players that have kind of stood out to you, maybe gotten bigger, faster, stronger just in this short time period?
Yeah, let me mention a few guys who I think have had really good off seasons. Day Buchanan, I think, has really added a lot of good weight this off season. I think he's been impressive how he's done. I think Sean Miller, one of our returning players from Arizona, I think he has really attacked this off season and is a guy who players are bringing up to me as a guy who's doing a good job as a leader. I think Michael Buckley really had a good off season. Our receiver, who's originally from Mexico. I think Austin Brawley has done a good job coming in. He has some familiarity because he played in Coach Nowinski's defensive scheme at Ohio U. So I think he's been a guy growing as a leader and helping guys out. Josh Perry, we got to update some of your things. We moved Josh Perry over to linebacker. There's a kid from Rio Rancho, Cleveland High School, just trying to get him on the field more. He's a really hard worker. I think he's really had a good off season for us. Hunter Hamaker's had a good off season. I think Malik Alian has really had a good off season. I really like the way he works, and goes about his business. Mook, Big Mook, I think he's had a good off season. Richard Pierce has been doing a really good job. Tevin Shaw is another guy who's going to miss spring. He had an off-season or really in-season surgery last year with his ACL, but I really like how he's attacking it. He's one of the first guys here every morning in here at 5 a.m. I like the way he's going about his business.
Are you one of you hear this from coaches all the time, are you one of the guys where you kind of come in, and it's, hey, everything is up for grabs no matter what, or the fact that you kind of know some of these guys going in? How are you kind of approaching that regard?
I told the guys this morning, nothing's etched in stone, man. Everything, you obviously you have to have a starting point. You can't send out 33 guys the first snap and put all 3 deep out there. So you got to have 11 guys who go out there first. But I make sure to make a point of that is not etched in stone. That is not final. So you got to do whatever reps you get tomorrow at practice. Do a really good job with those reps, with doing what you're supposed to do and playing really hard. And if you do that, you'll continue to get more reps. But I think everything's really open. I don't think we have any spots that are locked up.
In terms of the quarterbacks too, obviously, I mean, you've worked with Jack a good deal at this point, and you're very familiar with Jack too. I don't want to say is it his job to lose, but how are you kind of approaching the quarterback competition at this point?
He's going to start with the ones tomorrow, and I think his familiarity with the system and having played for us, for 3 seasons, I think is an edge for him. But we got to do a really good job evaluating these other guys. They didn't get to play a lot last year. James Lobstein and Chavez, who's from around here. Emery Floyd, I think those guys combined to throw no passes last year. So, we really got to get a good feel for what they can do and see who steps up and emerges, and see if there's see who's our best option, whether that's Jack or one of the guys who was here. We also have Gabe. I just call him Gabe because I can't pronounce his last name either. But Machenbacher, who came over from a junior college in California. So we'll have 5 different quarterbacks in camp. We got to do a good job evaluating, and obviously that's a real key position. But I think Jack has had a good offseason. I think he's doing a really good job, and excited to see how he continues to grow.
And I know you're gonna see more of them because you're working with them up close and evaluating too and all that. But in terms of the running backs,
I mean, obviously you guys added a ton of talent there too. I mean, do you have any semblance of a plan at this point, how you kind of distribute carries among those guys? And do you want a bell cow in the end?
Yeah, we got to let it play out this spring. I think we're so talented at back. I talked to Coach Slice, and we did that quite a bit when we were at South Dakota State. We had 2 running backs who got drafted there with Pierre Strong and Isaiah Davis, and they were too good just to always just have them sub for each other. So we had some packages where they could play together, and we'll have some of that, some 2 tailback packages we put in this year. But it'll be fun to see it sort out between Scott Trey, Day, DJ McKinney, Damon. We got 4 talented guys who are really good players, and we got to really sort out which each guy's strengths are and make sure they put them in the best position to have success. But I think our investment there at running back shows our commitment. We want to be good at running the ball.
Coach, what is it that most excites you about the Mountain West Conference? I mean, from top to bottom, you've come in and you've seen the teams, the great coaches they have. What is it most excites you about the program here at New Mexico and the potential?
I think the Mountain West is just a tremendous conference. I think it's really established itself as the best of the non-power, 4 conferences. I think it's, the 5th best conference right now. And I think that was shown by Boise, having such a good year and going to the college football playoff. So, testing yourself as a team against, the best competition you can, I think is a great draw. And, to me, it's the upside here. It's the opportunity to get things turned around where we haven't been to a bowl game since 2016 and haven't had a winning record. So I think it's that opportunity to improve and do better than we've done recently that excites me about this opportunity.
Entering your first spring camp here, what are you looking forward to, and also what are you looking for it to be a successful spring camp?
Well, want to stay healthy, and that's something you got to balance. Going through that, because obviously the more you scrimmage and the more you tackle, the more injuries you have. So we got to do a good job of having some good scrimmages, but doing a really good job on the days like tomorrow where we're not tackling at all. With keeping guys on the ground or off the ground, keeping healthy, because I don't think you can. You can't win a bowl game or go to a bowl game in spring ball, but you can do some things that could hurt your chances a lot if you have a bunch of foolish injuries and things like that. So we got to stay healthy. We got to make sure that we're really getting our base schemes all established, and we have quite a few in already just from the walkthroughs we've had. So I'd rather have less in and just really evaluate the personnel and see who can play and who can block and who can tackle and who can make guys miss. I think that's the big part in the spring. We want to make sure we're getting guys playing fast so they're not, if a guy's bogged down mentally and playing slow, you really can't evaluate him because you're not sure is it that he's, just that's how slow he is, or he's just overthinking, and we got to get him. So we want to get guys playing fast and knowing what to do so that we can really evaluate how good they are and what their strengths are.
Coach, you talked about talented running backs, quarterback competition that's going on. Just curious your thoughts on guys up front, protection, size, athleticism. How you feeling up there?
I think we're going to have some really good competition this spring. I think particularly on the interior offensive line. You got guys like Richard Pierce, who was a team captain and played 900 snaps last year. Isaiah Silliman, he played over 500 snaps last year at tight end. Playing a little out of position, but he'll be competing at center. Mook has done a good job. He was a first-team all-conference guy in the Southern Conference last year for a team that went to the quarterfinals. Caden Robinette, who played really good for us at Idaho the first 2 games before he got injured. And then Malik Aliana's had a really good offseason. So I think those 5 guys, we're going to have some good competition for the interior spots. I think with Tevin Shaw being out, that takes a little of the competition away at tackle, but I think Neville Brown has been having a good offseason. I think big Elvin Hayes has done a lot of good things, this offseason. Travis Gray is a guy we're going to continue to evaluate and see what can do. So I think that'll be, your team a lot of times goes as your O-line goes. So that's an area we got to keep improving and keep bringing along. But I like the path that Coach Booth is on with those guys.
We talked before everyone got in here about the connecting with the community. Just your thoughts on how accepting they've been and how big that is for this program.
I think the community has been very welcoming and been great to our staff and new players coming in. And, I think that's something I learned in my 3 years being a head coach. I think that's, to get a program turned around, I think it's a combination of connecting with the community and making them feel a part of it so they get behind you and winning. I think if you just do one of the two, you're not going to have the results you're looking for. So I think the community has been great. Again, it just encourages me every time I walk into the pit and see what atmosphere they've created there for basketball. And I think that's a lot of people like that. They want to support a winner. We got to give them a winner or something to support. But I have a lot of confidence that I think as we get this program turned around, the people of Albuquerque are going to rally around us.
I know Rob Matt played, I believe, some right guard and then some center for you guys as well at Idaho too. Is he going to get looks at center this spring?
Yes, he'll play some at center. I think him and Isaiah will get probably the most reps at center in practice tomorrow. He started the first two games at center, and then in the Wyoming game, we lost another guy to a torn ACL, so then he moved over to guard, and he ended up tearing his meniscus in that game. But played all game. He's a tough sucker. So I think center is probably his best position, but we got to keep looking at different options to find our best lineup.
You mentioned, obviously, Sean and Buckley, they, had some, it looks like they're having some nice off seasons as well too. From the outside looking in, at least in terms of like FBS catches and all that, it doesn't seem like the deepest receiver room. How are you kind of approaching that room at this point?
Yeah, I think we have those guys who I think we've been high on. I think just watching through drill work and things, I think Buckley's a guy who's really improved. He looks good moving around and things. And then Isaiah Blair has done some good things. We got to keep bringing him along. He was one of our junior college transfers. And then Keegan has been just nicked up with this leg injury, so we really haven't seen his full potential yet. But I think that those are going to be the nucleus guys as it looks right now, and I'm interested to see who continues to step up.
And then I know you guys, talking to Spence, with the kind of 4-2-5 base, you guys do want to play with like a jack and a star and all that to stay multiple. Who have you guys identified, if anybody, at those positions at this point?
We'll be playing a few different guys, moving around. I think at the star, the nickel spot, Albert Nunez, who's a transfer from Northern Iowa, is in the mix there. A guy here who I think has worked really hard and impressed me is Murphy, who's from up in Rio Rancho. I think he's done a good job. I think he could factor in there as well. At Jack, Gabe could be in the mix there. Okiki could be in the mix there. Keyshawn, James Newby, when he gets healthy, will be in the mix there. I think we have quite a few candidates there.
What's your spring game?
Yeah, we're planning on having our spring game Friday night, April 18th.
And I know some schools are choosing not to play one just because it serves as an audition tape for the transfer portal. Is there any thought about maybe trying to scale some back? Because inevitably it seems like you're going to maybe lose somebody before it's over.
Yeah, I do want to have a game structure, but I don't know. Traditionally, we haven't put it on TV or anything, right? Haven't, Frank? Yeah. So I don't. Radio? Yeah, radio's good. I don't mind it being, because if it's on TV, that gets into the hands of Michigan, that gets in the hands of other people. So I don't mind that not being on TV for that. For that part of it, but it's always a dual-edged sword because it's good exposure, obviously, when the teams have those games on TV. But no, we'll have some type of a spring game. We'll have to see where our health is at. I mean, that can be a limiting thing a lot of times for spring games, just how you format it based on where your health is. We had some positions like defensive tackle where we're not very deep, so it could be tough to split into two games if we have any injuries there.
You're doing something before the spring game, correct?
Yeah, we're going to do a kids clinic too for elementary school through junior high kids, second graders or first graders through eighth graders at 5 o'clock before the spring game, just so, again, try to provide some value to the community and make it a good night to bring your kids out, get coached up by our players and coaches a little bit, and then watch us play.
And then it's a very open approach to like allowing practice to be open and people come out and watch. We haven't been used to that in the last year or so. What is your philosophy in terms of letting people come in and just kind of be a part of the program?
Again, just want connection, want people to feel a part of it. And I think the more access we give into the program, the more they feel a part of it. Now, if you guys are like diagramming our trick plays and putting that in the paper, we may have to change it. So hopefully we don't have that issue. But no, I think giving access and giving people an inside eye to your program, there's a lot of benefits that come for that. Because, I want the whole community to feel a part of our team.
Coach, comments on Elijah Brody. Of course, his father was a running back for Rocky. You moved him from wide receiver? He's outside, or Mike or Will? I mean,
We're playing him at will linebacker right now. We looked at him at safety as well, but he's another guy I think has had a really good offseason. I mean, he's darn near 220 pounds right now, and so we're always trying to find a way to get more speed on the field. So taking a big athletic safety and moving him to linebacker gets even more speed than the same way we look at sometimes as a big linebacker, you can move the D end or things like that. So and we'll have times where we in nickel situations, maybe play with 4 defensive ends, get your D tackles out and get more speed on the field. So I think Elijah's been working really hard, and I think this will be a big spring to see what he can do.
If you remember, Elijah played defense the last game of the year because we were out of some players, so he played defense.
I think you guys have just one. I think it's just Steinkamp is the one true punter on the roster right now.
Yep.
How is is he being looked at as the guy right now, or how is that kind of playing out?
Yeah, I think he's the guy we got to do a great job evaluating this spring. I wanted to give those guys an opportunity. So we got Steinkamp, we got Luke at kicker. We did have to bring in a long snapper, Trey Dubach, who will be working there. But we're only carrying 3 specialists for the spring, so we'll need to add some guys there for depth for the fall. But I'd really look at it. Those guys got a great opportunity to show what they can do and earn the job this spring by their performance. But they got to earn it. They got to play well and kick well.
Anybody else?
Thanks, Coach.
See you tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Coach.